Welcome back, everybody, to the Boomer Backfield. My name is Colby.
My name is Spencer.
And my name's Kylan.
And today is a little post-playoff breakdown. We got some good stuff for you today. We're going to talk a little bit about Zac Alley, some of the college football games that went on the last couple of days, and then comments on comments. As always, be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Really helps us out a lot. Be sure you're commenting on our stuff too. We'd like to listen to what you have to say, and we like to talk about it. So, with that being said, Zac Alley officially leaves OU to go be the head defensive coordinator at West Virginia. And essentially, taking pretty much the same job. Now he has full control over the defense. Yeah. Pretty much picked West Virginia over OU, though, to sum it up. And supposedly took less money at West Virginia to be the head guy there.
God, that's so embarrassing.
What does that mean? What does that mean about OU? Your co-defensive coordinator leaves to take less money to go to West Virginia?
I mean, for me at least, I feel better about him leaving because of the way he left, so that exposed a lot of his character issues, which it's pretty much the same thing as Lincoln. Hey, you guys, I'm not doing anything. And even in press game, post game interviews, I think we've got a lot of talent coming back. It sounded like you're gonna be right there in the fire all off season, and then the next day or day after that, you're gone. So I feel better about that, but it's still what are we doing?
Dude, the last thing I'm worried about right now is character issues. I want a good quote. I want a good coach. If I've learned anything about Brent Venables, I don't care about your character anymore.
I mean, that's fair, but I also don't want someone who's going to lie to the players and then...
I want to win games, man. This is awful, I think. Zac Alley is a phenomenal defensive coordinator. We jumped in literally every stat this offseason, and the level that Zac Alley took stress and work off of Brent Venables' shoulders so that Brent Venables could do other things like recruit is undeniable for sure.
That's fair.
And so I think this is brutal for the team. I think this is going to be a huge, we will see the impact of this on the defense. And then also the fact that it's a lateral move to a lower school is crazy, because that goes to Joe C, in my opinion, because it's you let this happen with Lincoln, a lateral move to a lower school, and now it's getting worse. The lateral moves are going to lower and lower schools. So it's why is this allowed to happen? I mean, it's Zach. It's we knew we wanted to keep this guy.
Yeah.
We were willing, all the fans and all the players wanted to keep this guy. Yeah. I would bet you money Brent Venables really wanted to keep this guy, considering the workload it took off his shoulders and stress. And we couldn't. I think that goes up to Joe C. And West Virginia, man, how does that even – those two schools don't even equate. You know what I mean?
That was the biggest thing to me. Is it'd be different if he left and went to Bama or Georgia or anywhere good. Yeah. But West Virginia, he had ties with
Rich Rodriguez.
Yeah, the head coach there, which is the new head coach, right?
He literally just got hired.
Yeah, but still, I'm you have ties with BV. I don't know. Really strange that he went there over OU, and that makes you wonder what is so going on so bad at OU. That Zac Alley decided it is better for me to go to West Virginia to take pretty much the same job than to stay here at OU and get paid more money at OU.
Yeah.
What is going on internally that nobody else is seeing that makes somebody make a decision like that? I just don't get it. I don't know.
Yeah, there had to have been a push factor, I feel
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like if your relationship with Rich Rodriguez is so incredible, he wouldn't have ever left Jacksonville State or wherever it was that he was at before, because he was here a year? This was he left after a year, right? Zac Alley. Like, so
1 year.
pretty much Rich Rodriguez was the head coach at Jacksonville State. He left him, and then it was like, oh, I got a new job at West Virginia. Oh, hey, I'm going to join you again. Yeah. That doesn't even make sense, especially as much as, like, you're talking about the jump that we made on defense. Yeah. It's like, why not build on that? Instead, you're going to have to start fresh to people that have no idea what you're doing, no clue your scheme or whatever. Yeah. And it's just, I mean, I don't know what's going on. It's going to be, and to see who he hires, especially like the young guys, the reception to young coaches is like, you can't even dispute it. Like, players respond better to young coaches or coaches that can relate to them in some type of way rather than Ted Roof, who's just going around like, hey, do this.
Yeah. So. Like, another thing is, like, Zac Alley was about to be able to put Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman on his resume.
Yeah.
And then next year he was going to put probably R. Mason Thomas on his resume and somebody else
RSJ,
would go to the league, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. It's like you're willing to sacrifice your relationship with those players and those guys being, you know, guys you coached to go to West Virginia. There's just something going on. Definitely something fishy to me. I don't know. You don't leave Oklahoma for West Virginia unless there's some massive push factor or massive pull factor. Yeah. And I don't think we're able to really find a pull factor here that's that big. So
that's what's there has to be some type of pull factor because we got John Mateer. But I mean, we have a lot more pushing than we do pulling. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know. It's a really tricky situation, and it really makes you wonder, like, what's going to happen? Who we're going to hire, for one. There's people talking about Wes Godwin from Clemson. We just looked at some tweets. Wes Goodwin. He had the same, when he got fired from Clemson, he had the same reception from Clemson fans that OU had when Seth Lachal got fired. Pure joy and pure happiness.
This guy says, bro, Wes Goodwin really gone, in all caps. And the GIF that he posted with it is, oh, thank you, God.
Yeah.
So, this one says, Wes Goodwin is gone. The bad man can't hurt us anymore. So, that is, I mean, I've heard reports saying, like, Wes Goodwin is, like, will be the next DC. So,
so yet again, another.
I don't.
If Wes Goodwin doesn't pan out, that would be another horrible decision by VV on the hiring part.
Which I get the feeling that it probably won't.
It probably will. It's probably a done deal. So yeah, we're just in shambles right now. The thing, it's really frustrating because when we got John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle, we just got a new good receiver this past week from Cal. The momentum was kind of building. Like, okay, we finally got some pieces together. We're bringing back our guys. And then Zac Alley leaves. We have guys in the portal. Lewis Carter. Who else did we?
That's the one thing I was going to say. Like, no one's really left.
Yeah, Lewis Carter in the portal. But
I was shocked.
He hasn't. Has he committed anywhere yet?
No, I mean, he has time. He jumped in it like the day before it closed. So he's probably going to take his time. But, like, that's the one thing I was surprised is that there's been a lot of top talent has been like, we don't really care.
Yeah,
like,
they're coming back.
So it shows you that it was deeper than Zac Alley. Their commitment to OU was to probably BV and the rest of the whatever. So I'm like, all right, hey, as long as we can retain something, I feel like we'll be okay.
Yeah.
We won't be in just shambles like our offense. BV won't allow our defense to get to the level of our offense.
That's the thing. If we hire Wes Goodwin, I don't think our defense is going to, like, go to shambles. Like,
I don't want him, but yeah.
Brent Venables is going to do it. Is going to be in control of defense, and it'll be just fine.
Yeah.
But I think the value is lost in other places.
Yep.
Because you just can't quantify the value of Brent Venables being able to just go hands off.
Yeah.
And not coach the defense literally through the entire practice. Like, you can literally just walk wherever you want to go. Yeah. And that goes for all hours of the day. You can go into any film room. You don't have to be with the linebackers during film. Mm. You don't have to game plan for the defense. You can let somebody else game plan while you go game plan with the offense or the special teams. Like, there's just a lot of value lost there, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's where I think it's going to. And so I don't think the defense is necessarily going to take some big dip and we're going to look back and be like, Zac Alley, like, leaving did this big dip on statistics. Like, we're going to see our sacks go down and all that stuff. Like, I just think overall as a team, this is a big loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people were saying, like, Zac Alley isn't a big loss. I saw a lot of, like, comments about that. I'm like, you guys don't understand. Just like you said, that you were you were at those practices.
Mm-hmm.
You were at every single practice and every single game. You know how important.
Yeah, I can tell you Zac Alley is very important.
That's what I'm saying.
He's
important. You have seen that with your own eyes. How important that loss is.
A lot of people think, BV was the defensive coordinator his first 2 years. Like, he literally, like, was, like, Ted Roof was not the defensive coordinator. Brent Venables was. That turned into Zac Alley was truly the defensive coordinator this past year. He was calling the plays. He was there coaching the guys. It was Zac Alley. And Zac Alley's, like, if anybody on our staff is going to go be a head coach, it's Zac Alley. Like, you can't. Yeah, I think he's going to be like one of those guys. Like, I think he's going to go in and be like another Brent Venables one day. Go be a head coach at a big team. Yeah. And so you definitely can't put a value on just having that in your program, even if his role isn't. Yeah. So yeah.
What makes you want? Who was he co-defensive coordinator with? Zac Alley. Why was he labeled as a co-DC?
Was he labeled as a co-DC?
Yeah.
I figure it's probably. I don't even know.
I
mean, I can't even think of. Dude, I don't know.
I don't think he was a co-DC. I thought he was.
Yeah. Co-defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
/ linebackers.
So who's he a co-defensive coordinator with?
I don't know. It's got to be like Bates or somebody. I don't know.
Yeah. And then at that point, it's like, if Zac Alley comes to you and says, "Hey, BV, I have a job opportunity from West Virginia. Mm-hmm. They're giving me the head position." Why didn't BV say, "We'll make you our head defensive coordinator. We'll just call it as it is"? Why was BV stuck on keeping him as a co-defensive coordinator? So, and that's the thing I want to comment on too is, obviously the initial reaction for me as well is this is a bad look on Zac Alley for leaving and taking less money and going to a worse school. Yeah. But then you think about it too, it's like, surely Zac Alley had a conversation with BV and said, "Hey, I have this offer from West Virginia for the head guy," and BV had to have rejected him and said, "We're not going to make you the head guy." What's going on in BV's mind then?
I mean, there's also a scenario that Brent Venables offered him the job here, and Zac Alley had already signed the papers, or two, was already very committed to West Virginia. It's kind of like the transfer portal. It's like, a guy, if John Mateer went to Miami, it's like he can come back to Norman and say, "I have this money, make me another offer."
Yeah.
But sometimes when you make your mind up, you make your mind up.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Who
knows
what? That's who it is.
I really hope that one day we figure out, like,
what went on
here.
I hope we're filming a 30 for 30 right now.
Dude, we need a documentary staff in there because
untold stories.
Yeah.
Well, it's like what happened at OU just in the last 3 years in general. Mm-hmm. Because we have probably one of the best culture guys at OU since, like, you're talking Bud Wilkinson days. Like, Bob Stoops and Barry Switzer were good guys, but, like, BV is all about culture. So it's like you have a great person, but the output has been horrendous. And it makes you wonder, it's like, what is happening here? Mm-hmm. What is going on?
Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully it gets figured out soon. It needs to.
Yeah. This is the second year in a row that we are hiring both coordinators again.
That's insane.
Usually when you're hiring both coordinators, like firing and hiring both coordinators, that is the death penalty in college football. Like, you just don't come back from that. Like, it takes years to recover from.
Because you're going to lose so much talent on both sides of the ball.
You're going to lose both talents. You're going to lose both game plans being made that way. A lot of leadership is lost there.
Both playbooks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, I think your players have to learn a whole new playbook.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
The only other program I know doing it right now is Oklahoma State. They went 3-9. So
yeah,
I can think of off the top of my head. So just brutal. And we're doing it 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
2 years in a row. That is just a really rough sign.
Yeah. What's going on at OU football?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Nothing.
No.
Yeah. Nothing good.
Nothing good.
Nothing good.
The good was John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle.
Mm-hmm.
And Ben Arbuckle is still TBD.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think he's going to be great.
He could low-key go out there and be terrible.
Yeah.
And we'd be toast.
I think he's going to be great, but we have not seen it yet.
Yeah.
But I have more optimism for him than I ever did with Seth Luttrell or Joe John or anything else. But yeah, we're in a pickle here at OU, and I mean, unless we get a lot of good old linemen, which we got some in the portal, we got a few guys. I mean, I don't know. Depends on who we hire on defense. I think we have enough talent with enough skill to kind of like you said. We're not going to take a major dip in how we play, but with a big but, all caps. Zac Alley leaving will make a difference. And we noticed too, even though our defense was light years better than it's been, we had some really, really bad games. Yeah. Really bad games. Last week, we had a really bad game. Navy should have put up 42 points against us. They should have. They missed. Their quarterback could not hit the water if he fell out of a boat. That's like true. He was terrible. And they should have had 42 points in our defense. Navy. So, I mean, we talk about LSU. We can talk about, I mean, there's several games that we've just blown. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Wasn't like the defense was
stellar.
Yeah.
We
weren't even top 10.
Kind of makes you think.
Was
Zac Alley's foot out the door? Was he already set on leaving?
I don't know. The inconsistency started early for me.
It did, but
yeah.
Started early for me. I feel like once we got around to like Ole Miss half times and stuff like that, about halfway through the season, I guess.
Halfway through the season, yeah, we'd play good for one half, and the next half it's like we just switched up the whole entire. That was both sides of the ball. I feel like,
but I feel like that's also been a trend with BV since he's been here. I feel like we always start out strong in the season.
Yeah, we don't.
And then we
play
progressively get worse.
4 quarters of football. Only I can think of Alabama.
But like, think about it. Like our junior year, our senior year.
Yeah.
BV was here. We started out. I remember my junior year. We started out 3-0, and Joe Klatt said we are the number 2 team in the country. This is after we spanked Nebraska on the road.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, we're disgusting. Then DG gets a concussion against TCU, get blown out by TCU, which then went to the Natty, so that's different. Obviously, like we just got blown out the rest of the year at Texas. I mean, it was a horrible, horrible year.
Yeah.
Then last year, we started out great. We're 7-0? 8? I don't remember what we are. 7-0.
Lost to Kansas.
We go back-to-back weeks losing games to Kansas and OSU. And then obviously this year, the badness started early, but we got worse as the season went on. So I don't know what it is with BV's program, but we seem to get worse as the season goes on instead of getting better. We seem to have the opposite trend of almost every other college football program, that we get worse, and it doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah. So I don't know. Hopefully BV hits a grand slam like I think he did with Ben Arbuckle. But if not, we're in for another year of badness, and with a much harder schedule. I mean, we're at Tennessee, we're at Alabama, we're at South Carolina. We have Michigan at home. This is probably the hardest schedule we've had in history. Like OU football, I don't know. I don't know back in the 80s and 90s what the schedule was like, but
couldn't have been
it could have been something crazy. But the hardest schedule in recent history we have this year, and I mean, BB's going to have to make a slam dunk here, because if not, if we have, if he has a losing season next year, 3 losing seasons in 4 years, I mean.
Yeah. You just can't be lazy. That's the one thing it cannot be, is a lazy, and I think Wes Goodwin is kind of lazy. Because
for sure. Dude, just look at
already,
him. Yeah.
Like, it's already
just
like,
look at him.
Oh, I know this guy. And I get that you know the guy and you have ties. He knew Zac Alley. But it's like there's a difference between hiring a 29-year-old who is like, all right, like he's ready to roll, and then Wes Goodwin, who's like, oh, he was the DC at Clemson.
Yeah.
And I mean, Clemson usually puts up, they were in the college football playoffs, so it's not like he was just the worst guy in the country. But we went lazy with Seth Luttrell and Joe John Finley. We saw how that panned out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there was talks of like Brandon Hall getting the DC job, or like Todd Bates or something like that. And it's just like,
I love those guys,
but leave them where they're
lazy.
At. Leave them where they're at. Todd Bates, GOAT D-line coach.
Brandon
Hall got the safeties on lock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go out and get somebody who knows how to run the entire defense. Not, he's real good here, and then, no. I'm sorry, take some time and go on a search like you did with Ben Arbuckle. That was not a lazy hire. He's from across the country.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You go and study up on him. Go do the same thing. So as long as it's not lazy, I won't be as whatever if it pans out and it's like, oh, okay, maybe he didn't. If we have another one that doesn't pan out, BV's probably gone with him. But
I agree.
Which is unfortunate because I really, a lot of people comment this on our social medias, and I think we all agree here is that we want to see BV succeed.
Yeah.
That like we want that to happen. He is a great person, and he's been through a lot, and he's still going through a lot. Like, I think everybody wants to see him be successful, but you cannot have the output that he's having at OU. You just can't do it. And if he struggles this year, I mean, you have to cut the cord. You know, I mean, you can't just have that. So,
yeah,
I agree.
Anyways,
Yep.
That being said, the playoff, what in the world?
It was a weird day yesterday.
This was
weird weekend.
Both games turned out completely opposite of how I thought they would.
Yep.
What an insane day. Now, obviously, the Georgia and Notre Dame game got pushed to today because of the terrorist incident that happened in New Orleans, which is incredibly sad and disappointing. So hopefully all that gets resolved and those people, those families are okay, and we're praying for them. But the games yesterday, what in the world?
Yeah, we can start out 2 days ago. Penn State
Yeah.
and Boise State. Kind of went how we expected.
Yeah.
They hung in there a little longer than I thought they were going to hang in there. Started looking a little better. Honestly, the only big news from this really to me is Ashton Genty, 32 yards short of breaking Barry Sanders' record.
Man.
The Oklahoma State are like,
oh yeah, and the Oklahoma State fans are rejoicing.
Yeah.
But man, I really like Penn State. They look really good to me.
Yeah.
I don't know I did not notice this. Boise State had more yards,
yeah.
More passing.
more first downs, more offense than Penn State.
Well, I mean, your whole game plan is to stop Ashton Genty. So, if you watch every time they ran play action, there's somebody just booty naked running wide open because it's they're stacking the box with 8-9 people.
Yeah.
They got the tight end just running on the little seam route, and he just
He reminds me so much of Ollie Gordon last year,
Yep.
where every defense in the Big 12, including us, put 8 in the box, put 7 in the box, something, and then you're having to get beat by Brennan Presley, stuff like that.
And we did.
But this is really interesting. I mean, I did not realize that Boise State had more offense than Penn State, but they threw 3 picks. Madsen, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions.
Jeez, that's bad.
Man, if he had just not thrown some interceptions, I think this game could have gone a little different. But
yeah,
Penn State to me, man, I think,
dude,
whoever comes out of Notre Dame, Georgia is going to play them, and man, it's going to be a great game. I think Penn State looks really good. Yeah. And the overall trend that I'm noticing, though, and this goes for bowl games too, I think the SEC was a little overrated this year.
Yeah.
And the Big Ten was
Correct.
very underrated.
Yeah.
Michigan literally they beat up Alabama.
Yeah. That was crazy. That was crazy.
Oh.
So, and Michigan was 6-6 in the Big Ten. So it's man, I wonder what
USC beat Texas A&M.
USC beat
Yep.
USC beat LSU and Texas A&M.
Yeah.
2 top.
And we look at USC and we're they're a failing program.
Yeah.
And we look at LSU and Texas A&M they're on the come up in the SEC.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
That is crazy to think about.
So anyway, that's crazy. I think the Big Ten is a little underrated.
Big Ten. Let's go to Texas versus Arizona State.
What a game.
What in the world?
This was the game.
Listen, I have a lot to say about this game, but I'll keep it short. Arizona State should have won that game. The amount of times I was on the couch watching this game and thinking, they have a chance to win it here. They have a chance to win it here. This is their opportunity. And they missed time and time again. They obviously didn't get a targeting call that, it was targeting. By the definition, that is exactly what targeting is. They didn't get that in the last minute, 30 seconds of the game. But Arizona State had it in the bag. They were down. They had Texas down to 4th and 8. Texas then does a false start. It's 4th and 13. And what does Quinn Ewers do? Throw a touchdown to the end zone. This was the first OT possession. Arizona State scores a touchdown. Pretty much the lineman falls on his back and carries Scadaboo and just rolls him over in the end zone.
that was insane.
Which was sick. Lineman should get a lot of credit for that because he was the reason they scored. Kicking the field goal. So Arizona State is up 7-0 in OT. Texas comes in, and then once again they're down 4th and 13, and I'm like, oh my gosh, if they stop them here, like it's game.
Yeah.
Like the game's over. Mm-hmm. And Quinn Ewers sees the blitz coming, wide open, touchdown. Texas scores, tie game. And then the very next play, Texas scores a touchdown. Mm-hmm. And then Arizona State throws a pick. It was so disappointing because – but the one thing I learned is Texas looks very beatable. Arizona State exposed them. And Arizona State should have won that game. So –
yeah, I can agree.
Pretty interesting.
I think Texas does look more beatable than they did before. But honestly, I think Arizona State played a great game. That's honestly like Texas did not look their best, especially in that like third quarter. Yeah. It was like, what is this Texas team like we're watching?
Bad.
Third and fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Like, what is this Texas team that we're watching? Yeah. The first quarter, I would have told you they're the most dominant team in the country for a second there, other than like maybe Ohio State after what we saw. But
yeah,
I just think Arizona State played a really good game. Like, for example, that one throw in overtime where it was 4th and 13, it was a great throw.
It was a dot.
Like, it honestly, like,
it was a dot.
It wasn't awful defense because Quinn Ewers had to make a exceptional throw over a safety. Like, the safety was right here, and he had to go, like, just over his hands, and it was, like, right at the back of the end zone. So you can't underthrow or it's a pick. You can't overthrow or it's out of bounds. It was literally just right on the money.
Yeah.
So I don't think it was, like, Arizona State's a bad team and Texas almost lost to him. I almost think it's like Arizona State showed up. Yeah. They showed up, and, they're down 17-7 at half.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get in a mindset
17-3.
of like, 17-3 at half. It's so easy to get in a mindset, and Cam Scadaboo beat up. I mean, I saw a graphic that was like, this guy's injury is on 100 right now on CFP 25.
Yeah.
Your best players beat up. You're down 17-3. The will to even just try to come back is impressive. So I think they just played really good.
Yeah. They played amazing.
Arizona State was not, a dumb pick for the playoff.
Yeah.
That's why we have the 12-team playoff, is for games like this.
Yeah.
It was definitely, I mean, I think we all were like, oh, it's not going to be a game. Yeah. It's whatever. Texas has allowed 13 points a game. It's going to be whatever. I will disagree with y'all on the last 4th and 13. Matthew Golden was wide open. Like, I just literally went and watched it, and he was wide open. Like, not wide. I wasn't wide, but, like, I think confidently I can say that 130 quarterbacks in the country could have made that throw.
Hey, not what's his name from Navy? That's for sure.
Okay. Besides, he's the one that cannot make that throw.
I don't remember. I just remember watching it live and thinking like, that's a freaking phenomenal throw, because any lower and it was in the safety's hands, and any higher and it's out of bounds.
Well,
that's
the safety has back turned. Yeah. That's what was weird about the
play.
They
were both trailing. My thing is on 4th and 13 with the game on the line. It's 4th and 13, and they're on probably it's literally, what's coming. They're going to try and take it. I mean, I guess you can cover like the little sit-down route right past the first down. But Matthew Golden's been doing that the whole game. Quinn Ewers has made plenty of throws to him. And as a safety, you can't get beat. The corner, okay, you probably get beat. Yeah. Matthew Golden's an elite receiver. But the safety, you cannot get beat.
To me, it almost looked like, and I'm just literally just remembering this off the top of my head from watching it live. I remember the safety was low-key like down.
No, he was down, and then he like.
To me, that's more of like, why is the safety not covering the end zone? Because in 4th and 13, they're taking a shot.
Yeah. Like, you have to.
If you're a safety on 4th and 13, your mindset is,
I'm in prevent.
Yes, like in that very situation, like, that's crazy that you're having to run backwards to go get a guy. Like, you should always be between the guy and the end zone.
So. Well, that's the thing too, is the safety should have never been behind him. Not because, even if he's lined up closer, but you see the receiver coming.
Run.
Turn
and run.
Why is he trailing? Why did he wait for the receiver to pass him to get to? It's just a bad play by the safety, really.
I think the safety, again, off the top of my head, but I think the safety was like trying to cover underneath more of an underneath route.
And then you realize, but it's still at the same
Dude,
time. If you're the
not-
DC,
that's not-
why are you?
that's-
Why? That's
why
not
are
your
you
job.
at the play?
That's not your.
Which
yeah.
is that the DC's?
Or I guess that's
Is
it's
that-
probably
or-
safety, honestly.
Or is it the safety that made the bad read? I don't know. But anyways, he cost them the game.
He literally, and plus, I mean, if you look, that's their leading receiver. He went for 150. Like, he's probably going to get the ball if they can.
Yeah.
But Texas, and I've said it before, Steve Sarkisian draws up some of the craziest plays.
Yeah.
Their first play on their second OT, that is so genius. To pull your guard the other way, when the only time you pull a guard is when you're running the ball.
Yeah.
To pull the guard, have the tight end just pop out. Everyone runs to the other side because they think you're running the ball, and he's wide open. That is absurd. Like, that is so genius. And I was like, whoa.
Steve Sarkisian is who we think Liam Riley was.
Literally, like
he is the offensive mastermind of college
genius.
football. Yeah, he's crazy.
He's
So,
great.
I mean, I think they're beatable. I do think, because a lot of games this year, they get, I'm going to say they get lucked out a lot of times. That targeting, easily. And Arizona State doesn't have the almighty field goal kicker. They actually suck on special teams.
Yeah.
But still, it's like, that's another 15, reset the downs, but instead they had to punt the ball away.
Yeah. Dude, let's talk about Arizona State's. Let's talk about Texas's kicker.
Oh, my.
Two
Bird Auburn.
misses.
Dude.
Bird Auburn. Did you see that video of those girls, the football staff,
No.
EQ girls?
Oh, when they walked through.
Where they walk
I
through
was like,
him? I was
that's
like,
fire.
that's big brain.
That's right there.
you know,
Kenny Dillingham was like, hey.
You know the ball boy was probably like, go, walk through. But yeah, anyways, Bird Auburn misses 2 field goals. He had a chance to win the game winner from like 38 out.
I
So
thought he was drilling it.
not really a far kick, at least for a Division I Power 5 kicker at Texas. He missed it, shanked it off of the pole.
Yeah.
Bounces off, sends the game to OT, and then he missed another one before that. So not a good game for Bird Auburn. He got lucked out because I can tell you right now, if Texas lost, Longhorn Nation would be not happy right now.
What's crazy to me is Burt Auburn is not like this. Burt Auburn's going to the league.
He's a dog.
money.
That's what I'm
He's
saying.
crazy. I don't know if y'all remember the line, Burt Auburn to beat Alabama.
Yeah.
One of the greatest calls in the history of sports when he drilled one to beat Alabama. He's a great kicker.
Yeah.
That was just so off, unlike him.
Yeah.
But that's the play. That's the beauty of college football. I don't know. That doesn't happen in the NFL. In the NFL, you send Justin Tucker out there, he's drilling it.
He's drilling it.
Especially from
39
39 yards, 35 yards. It's like,
Those are misses that he makes from like 59.
Yeah.
And it's like, he just hit.
yeah, literally 59.
Yeah. He's like, I should have drilled
So
that.
that's the beauty of college football is Arizona State's kickers are from a walk-on tryout.
Walk-on tryout.
So
Literally.
it's like, that's the beauty of college football is you literally are sending out a kid that
He was playing IMs. He was probably playing IMs.
he
earlier
was
in this
probably playing like high school soccer
year.
2 years ago, and now is out here. You're putting your program's destiny on the line. It's just unbelievable, and that is
crazy.
the beauty of college football. You're
It's
not
crazy.
sending somebody out there making millions of dollars. You're sending somebody out there who's just a kid. So
Yeah.
these things happen, and that's the beauty of it.
Shout out Cam Scadaboo though.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Dude.
he
struggled in the first half, but
He
the second
did.
half he turned it on.
I just watched like his little ESPN breakdown with like his mom, and like they were talking about how he used to like put on his brother's pads, and he would run into metal poles. I said, yep. Him and Kip are probably like the same. Could you imagine?
Kip is that level? That's
That's
metal
insane, bro,
poles.
to put on pads. And just go
That's actually
running.
just
She was like,
insane.
he just didn't like to be contained. He would like bust out his car seats when he was a kid, just take them off and just go.
God.
And I was like that's insane.
Right, but if you look at him, if you look at a picture of him, he's like this.
Shaking his head.
Dude, his
He's
head
got that like lumberjack.
his
look.
head is so thick that the top of his head is wider
Yeah.
than the bottom. So if you look at his PNG, it's like this.
Uh-huh.
It's a blockhead.
Like a hammerhead shark.
Yeah.
He's a
man.
hammerhead shark. Dude
Yeah.
is just he's an animal.
When I said, dude, running into metal poles and pads is crazy.
That's
But, like,
unbelievable.
I see why he doesn't go down.
Yeah.
Like, no one you will ever come in contact with is stronger than a metal pole.
Well,
Like,
it's funny because like if you watch him run, he seeks
Yeah.
contact. Like he's not one of those guys that will try to avoid the safety to get 5 extra yards. He would rather take 2 extra yards but
And run.
plow through the safety.
yep.
So he is a dog.
You just got that build, bro. Those short, little, stocky, like, he's
His
5'11",
legs are like
215.
this. Yeah. His
Yeah.
legs are like literally that.
Dude, to me, it's just like
Guy's huge.
he was the perfect thing that they needed because Arizona State's blocking. And to be fair, Texas A&M's defense is just insane. They were contacting him behind the line of scrimmage so often, and he was still picking up 3 yards. So he was exactly what they needed.
Yeah.
He's insane.
He played great. Anyways, Texas wins, moves on to the semis.
So,
versus this next game.
So Texas looks beatable, but
not against these rascals.
Ohio State
looks unbeatable.
Well, Ohio State looks beatable to me because they lost to Michigan 3 weeks ago.
I guess, yeah.
So, Texas just had their worst game of the year. Ohio State just had their worst game of the year a couple of weeks ago. So both of these teams are here in the semifinals, but have had some wild games recently.
So Ohio State beats Oregon yesterday in the Rose Bowl, 41-21. An absolute spank fest. They were they were up 34-8 at halftime, laying it on them. It was crazy. Oregon looked horrible.
Yeah,
they looked terrible. Now, did Oregon look horrible, or did Ohio State just go crazy?
I think they just went bananas.
Ohio State looked insane. Jeremiah Smith is an absolute dog. Will Howard played his butt off.
500 yards.
Yeah, Ohio State looked. They just became my favorite for the national championship.
Yeah,
actually, I think if they play how they did against Oregon, they will be unbeatable. They looked completely dominant. They did let up the second half. They allowed Oregon to score 13 points in the second half.
How dare them.
But their offense really slowed down in the second half, scored 7 over 2 quarters when they originally put up 34 in the first half. I don't know if that's because they let off the brakes or Oregon had a complete revitalization of their defense. But, yeah, Ohio State looks incredible. It didn't even look close all game long.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for DG. DG, great career. Thank you for what you did at OU. We wish you luck as a probably a 6th or 7th round pick.
Oh, my fault.
Yeah. Now he'll go to the league.
For a little
But
bit.
DG's probably going to be one of those guys that goes to the league in like the 8th or 9th, 7th or 8th round, and then just becomes a starter and becomes an NFL great. So I hope he does. But I saw a pass yesterday, which I was like, that's the DG I know. It was a fade route on the left side, and DG throws the ball, but he didn't have the arm string, so it hits the OST quarter right on the head. And I was like, that's the BV I know and love. Can't make the deep ball, but wish him the best. You did great for us, and yeah.
I mean, I think this game, my main takeaway, Jeremiah Smith is the next Julio Jones. He's the next.
He's unbelievable.
CeeDee Lamb. He's the next great.
He's better than CeeDee Lamb. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
he's a freshman,
and CeeDee Lamb's the best receiver in football.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
He's the next whatever receiver you want to say from all of football history.
Yeah,
but I think this is a great game by Ohio State. They've been my favorite to win the national championship. I knew that. I just felt like when I saw them, basically they should have won that game in Oregon.
Yeah.
And that was my opinion on it when I watched it. I was like, they should have won that game if they had just slid 1 millisecond earlier. Yeah. They would have won the game.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think this is the best. The fact that they lost to Michigan, I think, was a kind of a fluke, but also more just Michigan game planned
perfectly
all year. Yeah. This mastermind game plan just to beat this team. I don't think other teams have the facilities to do that on the O-line and the facilities to be that discipline that Michigan has. So,
but Ohio State did the same. I think it is fair to say that Ohio State probably planned all year to beat Michigan as well.
No, I agree. No, I'm saying Michigan was having an awful year. I think at some point in the year they were just we're just going to beat Michigan. That's it. That's all we need. When you're 6-5, your mindset is I just want to beat. For example, if OU's having a bad year, but you have the opportunity to beat Texas at the last game of the season, your mindset somewhere mid-season just shifts to, all right, we just got to get that win versus Texas.
Yeah.
But I also think I'm not talking about just game planning. I'm talking about they recruit to beat Ohio State. They literally get the personnel just to beat Ohio State. But I think Ohio State is absolutely the favorite to win the national championship. They're just literally the best all-around team. Their defense, crazy, and their offense is crazy. They have the most talented offense in the country, I think, by far. And Texas obviously looks pretty beat up right now, and I think I think Ohio State's defense can hold Texas's offense, but I think Ohio State's offense is going to burn Texas' defense. I think their offense is really good.
Yeah.
So
Jeremiah Smith is just like that. His stat line, the receiver stat lines for Ohio State in the Rose Bowl are crazy. Like, I don't know if y'all remember Jackson Smith and Jigba, like, whenever that was, he had like 300 and some odd yards, like 20 receptions, or like 16, 17 receptions. I was like, dude, that, like 7 for 187 is insane
crazy.
As a freshman. And then you like watch people talk about him, they're like, he's just better than us. Like Dan Lanning literally was like, he can go to the NFL right now.
Which you look at his average, 26.7 yards
30,
per reception.
Almost 30. Like that is, in his interview with Holly Rowe, I wear 3X gloves. She's like, oh, you have to put your hand up next to mine. And I was like, okay, Holly Rowe, okay, I see you. But it's just like, why can't we get guys like that? I wanted Jeremiah Smith on our team.
Jeremiah Smith's one of a kind.
I know he is, but it's just like we don't even have anybody close.
How you get guys like that? You have Lincoln Riley as your OC. Because we did. We got Hollywood Brown. We got C.D. Lamb. D.D. Westbrook. I guess he was like more of a Bob Stoops guy.
Yeah.
We guys like that. We
Jeremiah
don't need
Smith's
more.
come once every few years, if that. You have to be the best team in college football to get guys like these.
Yeah.
That's what Ohio State is to me. Ohio State is the best team in college football. And it's the place to go for receivers. We used to get guys like that at quarterback because we were the place to go for quarterback. Well, we are not that place anymore. And if you want to get wide receivers, you got to be wide receiver U.
Yeah.
And that's where Jeremiah Smith went. He went to wide receiver U.
Golly, they're so
crazy. Yeah, but Ohio State looks unbeatable. So
I think go win it all.
But the thing is, though, is the Cotton Bowl is played in Dallas, Texas. So it will absolutely be a home game for Texas in this bowl game. So it'll be interesting to see, but I think Ohio State is very, very good.
Definitely looking dominant, man.
So, yeah, let's get into our next section. This is comments on comments. This is our favorite part of the podcast where we get to talk about what you guys are talking about. We scan our socials every day to find comments that we think are interesting to talk about. These are you guys' thoughts, what you're thinking about, and we want to go over them. So that being said, I'm going to talk about Ken first. Ken, I found you post this comment on Facebook. Ken T from Facebook said, Oklahoma is to the SEC what Nebraska is to the Big Ten. Success will be measured by winning seasons, not championships. I'm a lifelong Sooners fan of 50 years, but I just don't see us drawing the quality players and the numbers needed to compete for SEC championships. I hope I'm wrong and that NIL will level the playing field and allow us to fill the gaps. I'm just not optimistic that's going to happen. Well, Ken, you're exactly right, at least right now. OU is the next Nebraska of the SEC. That's the trend that we're going along right now. That's the trend that everybody was kind of fearful about when we joined the SEC. And those fears are starting to become reality. It's unfortunate that that's the situation that we're in. You're right, we're not getting top talent anymore. Really, the idea of winning an SEC championship is kind of washed, especially when you're seeing how good these other teams are. Now, there is obviously scenarios where OU could get in, where you can see some chances at that, but it's pretty low. But you hit it exactly right. Why that is, I don't know. I feel like we are kind of recruiting in the same... The thing about Nebraska is that they stopped recruiting in Texas. That's kind of what killed them in the Big Ten because they were in the Big 12, so they could recruit in the South. OU is still recruiting in the South. I think what we're missing is we're not getting a lot of guys from California like we used to and Florida. But I really don't know what's going on and why we are becoming the next Nebraska because we're still recruiting in the same spots. So hopefully you're wrong, Ken, but you're right now.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion on it is like, I think the big issue right now, like if looking ahead, not right this last season, it's like, you know, who knows what the issue is.
Yeah.
I think looking ahead, the issue is like we're not retaining the guys that, you know, we bring in a guy, he's the next this, he's the next that, he's a 4-star, he's a 5-star, and then they're gone. Yeah. And they honestly come out looking worse than when they came in.
Yeah.
And that's my big thing is like, you know, when somebody goes to Texas, they come out looking like an NFL they look like Xavier Worthy on the Chiefs. When somebody comes out of Ohio State, they look like a receiver in the NFL. When somebody comes out of Oklahoma, they look like a 3-star transfer. Yeah. And so, you know, you got to develop the guys. If you go get the talent, you got to develop it. Mm-hmm. And that's not happening right now. And I think that's my big thing. I think the recruiting's fine. I mean, we're up there with the big dogs. We weren't necessarily up there with the big dogs this year, but I think it's got to be development that's an issue.
Yeah.
And controlling the portal, but, you know, that's everybody's problem.
Yeah, I mean, I also think it's just lack of, like, you don't have anything to sell these guys on. Like, if you look at, you can't base everything off of pre-2022. Like, you can't, some of these kids were in middle school in 2022. Mm-hmm. Like, these kids that are going to be coming into college, some of them were probably in middle school or, like, freshmen.
Yeah, class of 27.
Like, yeah, like, there is nothing. If you were like, oh, well, look, when Lincoln Riley was here, they're going to be like, well, where's Lincoln Riley at? I'm going to go there because if that's who saved this program and who was doing all this stuff, I'm going to go where he's at.
Yeah.
Instead of, well, like, under me, we're going to do this. And it's like, oh, what was your record? Mm-hmm. What have you done? What have you produced? Especially if I'm on offense, I'm actually not even probably taking a visit here.
Yeah.
Because I don't.
Unfortunately.
You want me to go talk to Bill? Okay, hey, Bill. Yeah. Or like Emmett Jones. Emmett Jones, I bet if he got to talk to you, he could probably convince you.
Yeah.
But a lot of times these coaches just aren't getting the chance because players don't even want to come here in the first place. So, I don't know. I hope we're not the next Nebraska. But like you said, yeah, that's what we're trending towards.
Hopefully that changes. Yeah. Hopefully Ben Arbuckle comes in here and does a good job. But you're right. I mean, I don't even think some players are taking a visit, and I wouldn't either.
Yeah, why would you?
And to your point, like recruiting rankings are falling. They fell this past year, and I think it's because it's like you don't have the further away you get from success time wise, the harder it is to sell what used to be. So I definitely think I mean, like you can't sell Lincoln Riley forever. You can't sell Baker Mayfield forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta have your own success.
Because you're not gonna get Baker Mayfield on the phone every single time to go get so and so. It's just like it's not shouldn't be necessary. Mm-hmm. Like you should be able to sell them based on like
the program,
the program itself, not like let's get Adrian Peterson on here for this running back. Yeah. These kids probably weren't even alive when Adrian Peterson was like in his prime. These kids are born in 2008. I guess he was in his prime then, but like they're one.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. they're one. Yeah. They're literally zero.
Well, plus too, it's like if you want to have somebody call, it'd be nice to have them within the last 3 to 4 years, not 10 years ago with Baker.
Mm-hmm. That's insane.
8 years ago with Baker. So, anyways, Baker's like historic, but regardless.
Like imagine being able to get Jackson Smith and Jigba on the phone.
Yeah.
Dude, like you're taking that call any day.
Yeah.
Bo Nix on the phone even.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Jaden
Daniels at LSU, like those are guys like you put them on the phone.
Oh yeah.
Like I just saw him on TikTok literally 5 seconds ago. Yeah. So yeah.
Next comment. Who wants to talk about it?
I'll go Paula. Yeah. Paula from Facebook says, these kids already get the best of the best in education and perks from the colleges. Better dorms, food, and free education. Why should they be treated as pro athletes? All it has done is create an atmosphere of entitled, spoiled kids. If you don't want to play college sports, just go ahead and see how you fare as a pro. They have ruined college sports. So this was on a post on Facebook about basically like changing some of the NIL portal guidelines, blah, blah, blah. And Paula, the first part of it, I understand what you're saying, but it's same time, these athletes are the same people that are making the money for the schools. So I feel like it's stupid not to pay them if they're they're actually making you money. So you should invest a little bit of it, at least, back into them. And the whole, if you don't want to play college sports, if you're playing football, you don't have any other option. Like you literally cannot go from Edmond Memorial High School and go to the league. Like it's just not going to work. Like you can't just go from some random high school and be like, hey, I'm just going to go to the NFL. Doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And these kids, it's not like they don't want to play college football. They just want to get paid. Yeah. Like simple as that. Like if I was playing college football, I would want to get paid. I think these kids probably love college football the same amount as any other time. Mm-hmm. there's just an extra part of it now where it's probably more because you're making more money in college football now than you ever would as just some rookie on your rookie deal. You
Practice
can make
squad
a practice
kind of
squad.
deal, yeah,
You're
for
making
sure.
probably $700,000 or whatever
Yeah.
on the practice squad.
Yeah, like
You're
Drake
making-
Stoops.
Yeah,
He for sure was making more money here than
100%.
practice squad on the Rams.
100%. So
Yeah.
it's like, why not go wherever I can make the most money? I don't like it
Yeah.
because it affects us, but
Yeah.
it's just reality. We got to
Yeah.
kind of face it.
I think what's best for the athletes, and because I agree that athletes are getting somewhat entitled,
Yeah.
and what's best for the athletes, like if we're thinking in terms of what's best for the athletes,
Yeah.
I think paying them is perfectly fine. I don't think the good idea is let them hop around unlimited times
Yeah.
during bowl season or stuff like that, and renegotiate these contracts every single year.
Yeah.
I think what would be best for the athletes is for it to be more like the real world, where if you can only change, you can't change unlimited times, so maybe limit the amount of times that you can get in the portal. And then on top of that, if you sign, I think we're going to have to get to a point where there's contracts where like I stay for 2 years and I am locked in on that, and that's locked by the NCAA.
Yeah.
Because at what other point in life does somebody offer you $12 million to come to Michigan, and there's really no guarantee that you stay there for 4 years?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's no contract. So I think that's what's best for the athletes, and that would also fix a lot of the entitlement issues where, you know, they jump into the portal every year and they're asking for more money, and I feel like that would be a big fix at least.
Yeah. I really have nothing else to say. You guys hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Going back to the Zac Alley situation. Sooner Fan 7 on TikTok says, "What a joke. Leave Oklahoma to go to a conference Oklahoma just left and go to a team that hasn't been relevant for many, many years, to a coach who once abandoned West Virginia." I totally agree with this. I think it's just crazy that, I mean, it just seems like yesterday that that Dylan Gabriel's putting up 8 touchdowns on West Virginia. It's a really, I don't know. I just think it's like, how on earth, to me, I think this points to money again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how on earth did we not make a bigger offer or whatever needed to be done?
Yeah.
I think we did.
Because Zac Alley, I just know that Joe C and BV wanted to keep Zac Alley and were willing to pay whatever it took. And so what happened? Like, I think this points to something bigger, money-wise, or something. Because you don't leave to go to West Virginia unless there is money on the table, something like that.
Yeah. You go to a lower tier program and a lower tier conference with lower tier pay.
Mm-hmm.
There is absolutely something going on behind the scenes that nobody knows. I have no idea what it is, but this is a really bad look on OU. That's all I got to say.
This is when, like, I wish stuff was, like, all out there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what did they offer him?
Mm-hmm.
What did we offer him? Because I said, when you're making, let's say it's $1 million. Once you make $1 million, that, like, point, unless it's probably, like, point, I'd say maybe, like, once you get to, like, 1 and then, like, 1.5. But if it was like, oh, we offered him 1.1 compared to they offered him just, like, $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
If there's, like, some other factor, like, if he really loves Rich Rodriguez, that extra $100,000, like, it's kind of like, all right, I'd rather go be with this guy or whatever that really I could really play for or coach under, whatever.
Yeah.
But if it's like they offered $1 million and we offered him 1.5, 1.7, what on earth was so bad that you didn't know coming into this? Like, when you left Jacksonville State, what was so bad that happened that caused you to go to West Virginia? West Virginia, looking at how the Big 12 looks, West Virginia probably will not win the Big 12 for a minute. Like, unless Rich Rodriguez turns this whole thing around, because I feel Colorado, all these schools are probably going to stay on top. It's going to be a repeat of how probably OU, Texas, all these other schools were always, or not always, but like OU was kind of on top. So I don't get it. Like you said, it's a lateral move. What's going on behind the scenes? That's all. I think we're all asking the same questions.
Yeah, that's
what is going on?
That's the real scenario here.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that wraps up today's podcast. We appreciate you guys for all that you do. Enjoy.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Yeah.
Year.
How about it? This is
2025.
Start
2025 is the
2025.
year, guys.
It's the year.
It's the year for OU football, man.
Oh, guys.
But yeah, with that being
Coach is
said,
right.
we have a lot in store for you guys. We're making a lot of plans. So just stay tuned because things are going to get really exciting really quickly.
First full year with the podcast, fellas. First
full year. We're going to have
year.
player interviews, a giveaway coming up soon. We're going to be live streaming more often. Just giving you guys a better experience. Mo Betta experience. We're not sponsored. Please sponsor us. But yeah, anyways, have a great week and we'll get back to you soon. See ya.
Peace.